When the House tried to adjourn, they moved to adjourn, Representative Bush and I, Cori and I, we started running to the House floor because, by the way, they didn't tell folks that this is what they were trying to do. They didn't tell folks that they were going to adjourn suddenly. So they tried to slip Congress adjourning without even members knowing. And so we started running, literally running full clip to the House floor to try to demand a roll call vote on adjourning Congress, to say, all right, if you want to leave, you actually need to put your name in against whether you wanted to leave or not wanted to stay. And so what they did was that there was a rush to adjourn before Cori and I could call the roll call vote.
Oh my goodness gracious! If only our beloved AOC had run just a little bit faster. If only her legs could have carried her through the halls of Congress just a little bit faster, If only that happened, she could have possibly kept Congress, the House of Representatives, from adjourning. But what was us? She just wasn't that fast enough. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my God. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge in Brooklyn where I think she represents, does she represent Brooklyn also besides the Bronx? Anyway, it's so hilarious. That is one of the, it's very unconvincing performance art, and yet it is quite hilarious. Yeah, she wants you to think. I mean, everybody knows every August you have a August recess, and Friday, yesterday, was the last weekday of the month. So if she and her equally phony squad, and by the way, they're all controlled opposition. In other words, they're making plenty of, that's controlled opposition. They mouth opposition to the Democrat establishment, but as Jimmy Dore perfectly nails them, and I don't agree with Jimmy Dore on almost anything, but he's got their number. But they're controlled opposition, and you notice how like Medicare for all. If they wanted to bring that to a House vote, they could have told Nancy Pelosi back in January when they voted for their House leader. They could have said, hey, we're withholding our votes unless you give us a pledge to put Medicare for all on a House floor. Of course, they didn't do that, but and that was the big tell that this is controlled opposition, and with AOC being the most controlled opposition of them all. But anyway, let's watch some more of this performance art. It's all about the federal eviction moratorium running out, and she just couldn't help. She just couldn't prevent that because her feet weren't fast enough.
Well, we have a federal eviction moratorium that is expiring tomorrow. Estimated 7 million Americans that are currently at risk for eviction, and Congress decided to leave town for not just for the weekend, but for 7 weeks.
7 weeks
through August.
Yes, it's called August recess. It happens each and every year. Congress recesses at the end of July for the August recess. Now, the Senate is extending it for a week to get their $3.5 trillion pork bill, whatever you want to call it, extend. But Congress, the House of Representatives, recess. Everybody knows it. All the squad had to do was just put their members in the House chamber, and you know what? It could have kept poor little AOC from having to run at top speed down the halls of Congress to prevent an adjournment that everybody, you could look it up on the internet. You see, months ago, I saw it. They blocked it out, and the July 30th was the last day of the session before August recess.
While the federal eviction moratorium is going to leave tomorrow, They didn't even try.
Nope.
People want to say that they tried. They presented it through something known as unanimous consent. So when you introduce it like that, you just need one Republican to say no. And even if one Republican says no, you can call the vote and make everybody put their name next to their stance. Make everybody show up and actually put their name next to yes, I will extend it, or no, I won't extend it. But because people are a little too afraid to actually communicate to the public what their stance is, people want to skip town and let this moratorium lift tomorrow. And by the way, I'm going to say it, the White House is not innocent here either, because the White House had a month to let people know, and they just sent a little post-it note, sent a little tiny statement off to Congress yesterday, knowing that the House was set to adjourn today. They waited until yesterday to say something about it.
She criticized Joe Biden. Well, that was allowed because, you know what? Recently, AOC has been getting tons of flack about her not really pushing forward on Medicare for All. Now she's talking about health access to health or access to medicine, whatever. The Medicare for All shtick she pretty much dropped because that was a hot potato. So she's allowed. See, the Democrat establishment will allow her to mouth criticism of Joe Biden. But you know what? If you want to see what AOC really thinks, just watch her recently, a few months ago. I think it was back in April. Let's see what she has to say about Joe Biden that she criticizes now.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I will say is that I do think that the Biden administration and President Biden has definitely exceeded expectations that progressives had. I'll be frank, I think a lot of us expected a much more conservative administration. And I think that his, not only what has ultimately come out, but the active invitation and willingness and collaboration with progressives in his first 100 days, or almost 100 days, has been very impressive.
So when the House tried to adjourn, they moved to adjourn, Representative Bush and I, Cori and I, we started running to the House floor because, by the way, they didn't tell folks that this is what they were trying to do. They didn't tell folks that they were going to adjourn suddenly. So they tried to slip Congress adjourning without even members knowing. And so we started running, literally running full clip to the House floor to try to demand a roll call vote on adjourning Congress, to say, all right, if you want to leave, you actually need to put your name in against whether you wanted to leave or not wanted to stay. And so what they did was that there was a rush to adjourn before Cori and I could call the roll call vote.